Anyone completed example programs? Those are the important programs. We know you are going for the interviews. It may be they may ask in any language, either C, C++, Java, or Python. Anyone finished or not? Or I need to write myself only, or you will write yourself only. Please respond. Anyone is completed the task or not? There are 18 participants are there. No one is responding. What it means? Whether you are done or not. Please respond.
No, sir.
Why? The various programs. The reverse number. Next one is palindrome. Next one is Armstrong number. Armstrong number. Next one is Fibonacci series. Only these are still any other programs. Say at least yes or no. I'm asking you only. Please respond. Respond. You are not a statue in Hussain Sagar. Okay. Don't be sit idle. When I ask the question, please respond. Whether you are done or not, you aren't done. Only these programs or any other programs. Shall I write or you will write your own only? At least
We will write, sir.
you will write?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no need. Okay, thank you. I will give that assignment also today. You need to submit tomorrow. Okay, next one is one more topic from the loop concept is nested loop. What is mean by nested loop? If you use, what is mean by nested loop? What is mean by nested loop? Use one loop into another loop. Another loop. If you use one loop into another loop is called nested loop. It's called nested loop. Wait a minute. Okay, nested loop means simply if you use one loop into another loop. That is the case here. You may use for loop inside. You may use for loop combination. You may take for loop and while loop, or you may take the combination while loop and for loop. You may take the combination for loop. You may take combination while loop. Okay, so if you use while loop into a for loop, or if you use for loop into while loop, or if you use for loop into another for loop, if you use while loop into another while loop, we can simply call it as a nested loop. Okay, generally what is meant by nested loop means if you use one loop into another loop, we can simply call it as a nested loop. Generally, so they may ask the programs on the nested loop, such as something like, so write a program to print the following pattern. Just you may have the some programs, something like to print the following patterns. These are the most common. Okay, they may ask the some numbers, they may ask the some triangle shape, they may ask the different. That is the based on their requirement they may ask. Okay, so just now we'll see a program how you can draw, how you can design this pattern using nested loop. Okay, so here nested loop means if you want how you can implement this one here. See in this case here, in order to draw this pattern, how many loops are required? I want to draw this pattern. In order to draw this pattern, how many loops are required? Please respond. How many loops are required?
2.
So you require 2 loops. Okay, one is for the number of rows and one is for the to print this asterisk symbol in that particular row. Okay, you require the 2 loops. Now we'll see small program how to print this pattern. New file. To print pattern. So first you need to take how many lines you want to print. Okay, take the one variable int input int input. Here you need to enter how many rows do you want to print. Okay, now you need to take for I in range. If you want to print n rows, so you need to take the upper bound is n plus 1. Why? Because n, if you take upper bound is always exclusive. Because of that reason you need to take 1. Next, for j range. Now what is the range for the j? What is the range of the j? So first for loop is to display the pattern in n rows. You need to take the range 1 to n plus 1. Now what should be the j? What is the range of the j?
1 to n minus 1.
1 to n minus 1. Right? This should be the range of the j. Now see here what I want to print. If I equal to 1, I need to print. Sorry, if j equal to 1, I need to print only 1. J equal to 2, I need to print 2 times. Okay. Now see, I want to print just now I want to, in order to print in a new line, just take this one. Okay, so whether it is right or wrong, is it correct? Yes or no? Please respond. Here what is going to display? Just I want to display 5 rows. So here is it correct output? Yes or no? Please respond.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so it is not at a correct output. What is the problem? Can you identify what is the mistake here? Where the logic is right or wrong? Now see the output. Okay, so here what happened in case of, it is also your print function associated with an end option. So the default value of the end option is new line. Okay, because of that reason in the previous case, okay, it displays the output line by line. But whenever you are using the end option, here you are not at all mentioning the default value as /n. Okay, we are mentioning this the value of the end attribute is space. Because of that reason, see here first for the first iteration. So for the first time, what is the I value? I value is 1 only. Okay. Now control comes to here, it will check in the range. Here 1 comma, what is the range is, for example, is 1 comma 5 is our range. 1 is always in the 1 to 5 range only. Now it will check here, range is, what is the I value is 1. Okay, the range is, what is the range value in this case? 1 comma I plus 1 means it is 2. And what is the j value? First, for the first iteration, j value is 1. J value is 1. Okay, 1 in the range 1 to 2 only. Now it will print 1. So internally what happens? Simply it will print 1 and it will give the some space. It will leave the some space. Thereafter, for the second time, it will print j equal to 2. 2 is not in the range of 1 comma 2. In this case, the condition is evaluated to false. Then it will print here. If you here, in case of generally whenever you are using the print function, simply it will print in a new line only. Why? Because it is always associated with the one attribute that is called end attribute. Okay, the default value of the end attribute is new line. Because of that reason, it will print new line. So after that, control will be written to the outer for loop. Here this is called, j loop is called inner loop and I loop is called outer loop. Okay, so if you use one loop into another loop, we can simply call it as a nested loops. Okay, nested loop. For the second time, so in the second case, the I value becomes 2. Then j value becomes in the range 1 comma I equal to 2 means it is in the range 1 comma 3. Now for the j equal to 1, okay, j equal to 1, it will check in the range 1 comma 3 only. So it will print first time asterisk. Next, for the second iteration, j value becomes 2. 2 is also in the range 1 comma 3. It will print asterisk one more time. Next, for the third iteration, j value becomes 3 and it is not in the range 3 comma 3. Sorry, 1 comma 3. Why? Because 3 is always exclusive. So because of that reason, once again the control exit from the inner for loop and it will be transferred to the, up to this is called inner for loop, and this entire thing will be comes under the, sorry, this is the only part of the print, is the only part of the inner for loop, and print and this one entire thing is comes under the outer for loop. Okay, this is regarding just how to print in a simple pattern. Instead of patterns, you may take something like numbers. Okay, so if you want to print, either you may print I value or j value based on the your requirement. Sir, I want to print I. Now see the output, how it is going to be displayed. Right, run a module, enter some 10. I want to enter some value 10. See here the output is okay like this. Or else instead of this one, you may take, I want to display the j only. Right? So if you take something like 6, so here this is the output, how it is going to be displayed. Okay, this is regarding about the loops. Any doubt regarding this one, nested for loops? Any doubts regarding the nested for loops?
No, sir.
Okay, now you need to try other patterns. You may draw more patterns by using the nested for loop concept. Please try it. Generally, while going for the interviews, definitely you are having the question on this pattern undoubtedly. Okay, please practice patterns. Next one is, this is regarding the loops. Next, you are having one more concept called functions. See here, if you take other languages, in case of C languages, you are having the functions. In case of C++, you are having the functions. In case of Java, you are having the methods. Okay, in some languages, you are having the functions. In some languages, you are having the methods. In some languages, you are having the procedures. For example, if you take your SQL language, in case of SQL language, that is, we can call it as PLSQL. Okay, in case of PLSQL, there you are having the functions, there you are having the procedures, there you are having the functions as well as the procedures. Okay, if we take C language, in the C language we are having the only functions. If we take C++, we are having the function. If we take Java, there you are having the only methods. Okay, if we take SQL, you are having the functions as well as the procedures. But with respect to Python, the Python you are having the functions as well as you are having the methods also. Okay, it is having the functions as well as the methods. See here, in general, right, we can call the Python is a multi-programming paradigm. Multi-programming paradigm means, so we can use the Python as a function-oriented programming language or structure-oriented programming language like C, or we can use the Python as the object-oriented programming languages like Java. Okay, so we can, because of that reason, we can call it as a multi-paradigm, multi-programming paradigm. It supports function, it supports methods. Can anyone able to differentiate what is the difference between functions and methods?
Function needs to return value, method no need to return value.
Okay, very good. If you take function, function will return at least one value. Okay, definitely if you are using a function, function always, okay. See here, if you take other languages, there, if you take C language, function, okay, function is always written only one value. But if we take Python, in the Python, functions are always written at least one value, or if you want to return a multiple values, you can return by using the functions. Okay, function always return at least one value, at least one value in Python. Okay, at least one value in Python. In case of method, it won't return anything. That is one thing. Second thing is, what is mean by function? What is mean by function? You can simply define it is a collection of, sorry, simply it is a collection of statements. Function is nothing but simply it is a collection of statements written for specific purpose. Specific purpose. So here, whenever you are writing the function, until and unless there is a specific requirement, we won't go for the function. Next, what is the advantage of by using the functions? Can anyone able to tell? What is the advantage? Why we need to go for the functions?
Code reusability. Sir.
So the main advantage of the using the functions, okay, the ultimate advantage why we need to function means code reusability, very important thing. Here code reusability. The main advantage of the function is code reusability. Okay. Next, what are the types of functions? Function means you can simply define it as a collection of statement or piece of code or set of statement or group of statements written for the specific purpose. Okay, we may use the word functions, methods, procedures, next subroutines. These are all used alternatively. Okay, so there isn't much more difference. Even if you compare functions as well as the method, we don't have the much more difference. But some languages they are differentiated. But most of the languages, functions as well as the methods are same. Okay, in some languages there is a difference between functions and methods. Each and everything, even in Python also, there isn't much more difference. What is the one difference is functions won't return anything. Sorry, function will return some value and method won't return anything. That is the only difference. Okay, remaining all are same. Now, what are the different types of functions? What are the various different types of functions?
User
Predefined and
functions,
User
inbuilt
defined
function.
function, inbuilt function. Very good. Okay, so we use the word built-in functions. Okay, with respect to Python notation is that is we can call it as a built-in functions, or we may use the function name predefined function, or we can call it as a system defined function, or we can call it as a library functions. Okay, these are all refer to the same thing. So built-in function, predefined functions, system defined function, or library functions. These are all same. Okay, next other category is user defined function. Okay, user defined functions, right? User defined function. Now what is the difference between this predefined function, that is the built-in function, versus user defined function? Is there any difference or both are same only? What is meant by built-in functions? Please respond. Functions.
which are already present in the libraries.
Okay, yeah, very good. Which are the functions which are already provided or implemented by the functions which are already provided or implemented by Python libraries. Libraries are simply call it as a built-in functions. What is meant by user-defined functions? The functions which are implemented by the programmers, we can simply functions are implemented by programmer, or we can call it as an even user, no problem. Okay, programmer or user are simply called a user defined functions. Now if it is in a built-in function, in case of built-in function, even though they are if you want to use the built-in function directly, you need to call. But in case of user defined function, first you need to implement the program, you need to implement the function, thereafter you need to use the function. That is the different. Now we'll see what are the various built-in functions. Any built-in functions? Simply we are using the word BF stand for the built-in functions. Any built-in function have you found so far? Something like int, something like input. Okay, you are having something like len. Next you are sorry. Next we are having input. These are all called already. These are the built-in functions are already predefined functions. Okay. There isn't much more discussed regarding this built-in function. Directly you may use this function. Next important category is user-defined function. Okay, user-defined function means the functions which are defined. The functions which are defined by the user are simply called as user-defined functions. Okay. Now, if you want to define a function, how you can define the user-defined functions? Now, for example, if you want to implement a user-defined function in C language, how you can implement the user-defined functions in C language?
Type def.
Function with an
Sorry. In C language, if you want to use if you want to implement a user-defined function, you may write something like RT. RT stands for the return type. Next, you are having the function name. Next, you are having the argument list. Okay, thereafter you are having the, so this is the place inside this one you are writing the business logic. Business logic, right? Right or wrong? So you are having the return type, next function name, next one is argument list, followed by the braces. Inside a braces, you may write the business logic. Okay, correct or wrong? Please respond, right or wrong? Whether my voice is audible or not?
Sir.
Please respond when I ask the questions. At least anyone, please respond. See here, this is the with respect to C programming style. Even in Java also you may use the same pattern. But in case of Python, if you want to define a function, you need to use keyword. Okay, to define a function. To define a function, we need to use, what is the keyword we need to use? Def. Okay, this is the keyword we need to use in order to define any functions with respect to Python. We need to use def keyword. You need to use def keyword. Okay, fine. Next, in case of, for example, if C language, so first you may invoke the function, thereafter you may implement the function. Where this one is allowed or not? First you may call the function, thereafter you may provide the implementation with respect to C language. Where this one is allowed or not with respect to C or C++ or Java. Means, for example, I may write something like void main. Here, now see here, just so I'm taking the one function. Next, void hello. Some printf. Just I will print something like welcome. This is right or wrong? It will work or not, or whether it is right or wrong.
Semicolon, sir.
Yeah, I put the semicolon here also. Still, where I need to put? You people, you are all completed CPDS successfully with 7 points, 8 points, 9 points. Please respond. Whether it is right or wrong.
Right, sir.
Okay, it will be perfectly valid code. See here, Just here I am in the main function itself, I am calling this function. Thereafter I am providing the implementation. Okay, so 100% it will work fine, no doubt at all. Next, I will take one more scenario. Just okay. This one is allowed or not? Just I am providing the implementation for the function first. Thereafter I am calling the function. Whether this one is allowed or not?
Yes, sir.
So this one is also allowed. Okay, if you take whether it may be C, C++, Java. But in case of Python, so if you want to use a function, if you want to call a function, the very important thing is first we need to define. We need to define the function. Define the function. Thereafter, you may use it. We may use it. Okay, first you need to define the function. Thereafter, you may use it. Sir, first I will call the function. Thereafter, I will implement the function means Python won't allow. See here, just we will see one sample program in the Python. So just one sample program. I'm taking something like how you can define the function. You need to use the keyword def. Okay, so I'm taking the function something like say hello. Say hello. See here after the function you should use colon. Okay, this is indicate the after this one. Okay, these are all. See here I will write print welcome. Print welcome to Siddhartha. Print welcome to Siddhartha. Next, print welcome to CSC. Okay, see here after the colon, this is after the colon, print here instead of starting at this line, so it is started here somewhere here. This is simply called indentation. See here, these two statements are having the same indentation, hence they are part of this say hello function. Okay, why? Because how can say these two statements, they are following the same indentation. Thereafter, if you write anything here, it will be part of this function only. Okay, so now if you start any statement here, okay, say hello. Any statement here, say hello, right? Now this is the function. There is no need to use braces. Okay, so if you want to define a block, just you need to use indentation. See here you are leaving this some space. This is called simply indentation. Generally in case of indentation, so most of the time the default indentation is sorry, how many spaces for the default indentation?
4.
Very good. Okay, so default indentation means for the default indentation it is always 4 spaces. Based on your requirement you may increase. Okay, now just I will save this one. Here the output, run this module. Okay, welcome to Siddhartha, welcome to CSC. See here, check here, sorry. See here, just first I am implementing the function. Thereafter I am calling the function. Now take the another scenario. Control X. First I am invoking the function. Thereafter I am providing the implementation. Okay, thereafter I am providing the implementation. Now this one is allowed or not?
No, sir.
Okay, yes, see. Okay, what it says, say hello is not defined. So means with respect to Python, if we want to use any user defined functions, before using that one, you need to define that function. This is the very important thing. Okay. So if you want to develop, if you want to use any user defined function, first you need to implement the function. You need to develop the function. Thereafter only you need to use the function. Okay. First you need to define the function. Thereafter we may use it any number of times based on the our requirement. Okay. That is the one thing. Next, in general, if you take functions, right? What is the default to return type for the function with respect to C language? See here, what is the default return type? Default return type for method in C. What is the default return type for method in C? Default return type in the sense whenever we won't provide any return type, then internally it will be assumed some return type. What is the default return type for the method functions in C?
One, sir.
One return type. Return type means whether it is an integer value or double value or something like void. What is the default return type for functions for function in C? Anyone please respond. What is the default return type for
Return
function?
type of the function, sir.
Sorry.
Return type of the function.
Int.
See, very good. The default return type for the functions. Default in the sense whenever you are not at all providing any return type for the function, internally your compiler will assume this some return type. What is that return type for the C? In case of C languages, it is always int. If you take for the Java, what is the default return type? What is the default return type? Next, what is the default return type with respect to Python? Python default return type. What is the Python default return type? Okay, now one question. Just now we have discussed that. See here, what is the difference between functions and methods? What is the difference between functions and methods?
Function need to return at least one value, but methods no need to return value.
Methods won't return anything. See here, this is the correct or wrong? This function, this one is right or wrong? In this case, I won't use any return statement here. Just now only I am telling. So if it is in a function, function should return at least one value. In this case, it won't return anything. This is correct?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir.
See here, Python itself, it is saying it is correct program and it is so it is producing the output. How will you say this is wrong? Right? So here, actually internally what happens? Return none. Return none. Now see here, run this module. Check the output. What is the meaning of the none? None means nothing. None means nothing. So internally, even though we omit the return statement, internally there is a return statement. What it will return? Here you are not at all specifying anything to return. In this case, on behalf of you, compiler will insert a statement return, and what is the value it is going to be returned? none only. None means nothing. Okay. So if you return nothing means there is not there isn't required to use anything. If you omit or if you use this one, there is no difference. Right? This is for whenever your function won't return anything. So this is for your, so here if you omit here, on behalf of you, compiler will use the return statement that will return none value. Clear this point?
Clear, sir.
Okay, fine. Even in Java also, just for a while, just listen. In case of Java also, what you may write something like some class ABC. Inside this one, you may use the word public void sorry, public static void main. So it takes the one parameter that is the string or something like system.out.println test welcome. Correct programming? It will work or not? Even I place
Yes, sir,
semicolon.
it will.
Okay. Actually here, what is the return value? Void. Return value is void. So
Void.
internally, how it will be compiled is return of void. Return of void. Void means nothing. Okay. So now in this case, if you write the return statement or if you omit the return statement, there isn't any difference. There isn't any difference. So now in this case, actually you need to return a void. Okay. You aren't written anything. Void means nothing. Okay. Void means simply nothing. Now here, instead of void with respect to Python, the default return type means whenever the program won't provide any return value, it will return none. Okay. So just to remember, so in case of whenever you have a function, it will return always none type only. Okay, fine. Next one is generally if you are having the functions. Okay, if you are having the functions, in case of functions, what are the various types of arguments you are going to use? Types of arguments, or you may use the word parameters. They are all same. You may use the word arguments or parameters. What are the different types of parameters or arguments? If you take any language, even in C, C++, Java or Python, what are the types of arguments? What are the various types of arguments? Please respond.
Pass by value, pass by reference.
Okay. Pass by value, pass by
Pass
reference.
by reference.
So we okay, or we may call by value, call by reference. See, that is the parameter passing mechanisms. Okay, call by value, call by reference are simply called parameter passing mechanism. Now types of arguments. In general, okay, so you are having the two types of arguments. Those are called formal arguments. Okay, next actual arguments are parameters. Okay, so you are having the formal arguments are formal parameters, actual arguments are actual parameters. What is meant by formal parameters? What is meant by formal parameters? See here, just I will pass from Venkatesh. Here I am taking the name, print, just hello. I will display the name. Right. Check this one. Some hello Venkatesh. Now, what is meant by, see here, this is an argument, or even you may take something like s equal Venkatesh. Okay. Now here itself, just instead of this one, I will pass only s, right? So here s is an argument or not? Here s is an argument. S is an argument. Next here, name is also an argument. Okay, name is the argument, right? So here name is an argument, S is an argument. Just now we have discussed arguments are two types. One is called actual argument and other one is called formal parameters or formal arguments, right? Which one is the actual argument? Which one is the formal argument or parameter? Which one is
S is the formal argument.
S is an
Formal argument.
formal argument, and this one is name is an actual argument. Is it right? Is it right or wrong? So here this is called actually actual argument, right? This is called formal argument. Formal argument, right? Now can you able to tell what is meant by actual arguments? This is simply called, this entire thing is a method definition, or sorry, function definition. This one is a function calling. Now what is meant by actual arguments? Actual parameter. What is meant by actual parameter means the parameters, or you may tell arguments also, no problem. The parameters which are used in function calling. Function calling are called actual parameters. Actual parameters. Okay, the parameters which are used in function calling are simply called as actual parameters. What is meant by formal parameters? The parameters which are used in function definition are called formal parameters, right? Now you are clear about what is meant by formal parameter, what is meant by actual parameters.
Yes, sir.
Okay, only one thing, actual parameters means the parameters which are used in function calling are simply called as actual parameters, and the parameters which are used in function definition, okay, or declaration, we can call it as a formal parameters. Okay, next, what are the types of actual arguments? I think this one is covered in your PPL subject, I hope. What are the various types of actual arguments? Do you know anything? What are the various types of actual arguments? So here actual arguments are, so you are having the four important types of actual arguments. One is called positional arguments. Second one is called keyword arguments. First one is positional argument. Second one is called keyword arguments. Third one is called default arguments. Fourth one is called varag arguments. Okay, so these are the four types of actual, again actual arguments are divided into four types: positional arguments, next keyword arguments, next default arguments, next one is variable arguments. Varag means variable, simply variable arguments. We can simply call it as a varag. These are the 4 types of actual parameters. Now first we will see positional arguments. Positional arguments. Can anyone, what is meant by positional arguments? What is meant by positional arguments? See here, for example, take the program. Now I want to perform the summation of the two numbers. New program. So just define some add function. It is going to take two variables, some a comma b. A comma b. Just return a plus b. Next, I may take the value something like print. I want to perform the add of here x comma y. Add of x comma y. Just the sum is okay. Now just this is a program sum addition. Just run this module. Name x is undefined. Fine. Okay. Sum x comma y equal 7 comma 8. Okay. So here the output is sum is 15. Now here, which are the actual parameters, which are the formal parameters? Which are the actual parameters, which are the formal parameters?
Add
What?
of x comma y is actual, sir.
X comma y are the actual arguments, a comma b are the formal arguments. Okay. Now see here, how many arguments in this case? Here you are having the only 2 arguments. Now here how many arguments you are passing? Only 2 arguments only. Now in order to pass these all things, whether you are using the any equal sign operator, something like we aren't use anything, something like in this case we want these things. Directly you are passing the x comma y. Positional arguments in the sense, okay, positional arguments in the sense, whatever the value you are providing to the x, here x is the first parameter, right? Y is the second parameter. Now if x will be copied into a and y will be copied into b, such kind of arguments we can simply call it as a positional arguments. If they are allocated, if they are assigned position by position, then we can call it as a positional arguments. In case of positional arguments, how many actual parameters and you are having the how many formal parameters? Both are same. Okay, the number of actual parameters should be equal to the number of formal parameters. That is the one condition. Next, the order. Now in this case here, so it is in case of Python, we won't define any variable, we won't declare any variables. Okay, it is already declared based on the value whatever they are assigning. Okay, based on the value it will be automatically allocated. Now in this case we won't consider the order, but we will consider how many number of arguments. Means here you are having the 2 arguments, here we are having the 2 arguments. That is the first thing. Second one, we don't use any here assignment operator. Suppose if you write something like x equal to 10, okay, if you are assigned the any argument in this way, such kind of arguments are called actually keyword arguments. If you are specifying the any arguments with identifier, okay, any arguments with an identifier, such kind of arguments are called keyword arguments. In case of positional arguments, if the whatever the arguments, okay, if the arguments are which are passed, okay, copied or assigned position by the position without assignment operator, we can simply call it as a positional arguments. Instead of this one, if I pass something like some, here also you may take x equal some 10, y equal some 20. Now this kind of operator, this kind of argument, see here, you want to pass 10 comma 20. You want to pass 10 comma 20. Now in this case, see here, you may take here something like y comma x, y comma x. Just here return x plus y. Now print y equal, print y equal plus y. Next print x equals, Control S, run this module. Okay, sorry. See here. Now what is the first value here we are passing? X equal to 10 and y equal to 20. Y equal to 20. Now here you are taking the y equal to, y is in a first argument, x is in a second argument. Actually in place of for the y we should have the value 10, and for the for the y you should have the value 10, for the x you should have the 20. But here you are specifying the keywords, you are specifying the identifier. Even though here the order whatever you may take no problem, but it will be, if you print x, it will be display the whatever the value here we are assigning. Okay, this kind of arguments are simply called as keyword arguments. These are simply called as keyword arguments. So in the tomorrow class we will see some other arguments. Okay. Any doubts regarding the today class? Any doubts? Please respond.
No, sir.
Okay, fine. There is one thing, and one more thing is some of the students, so far very few students have submitted the assignment. So only you are having the 4 or I hope you are having the only 5 questions. See here, generally whenever you are writing an answer, just you should use some chart format. See here, whenever you are having the data types, instead of writing the data types directly one by one, represent the data types in the form of diagrams. Even in case of sequences, just you may take heading is sequence. From that you may take some 3 arrows, and one is string and other one is list and other one is tuple. Even in case of features, just you may take one circle, write just Python features. You may write one word Python features inside a circle, and by using the arrows you may represent the various features. Okay, that is the good practice of writing the presentation. Don't write the all lines of theory, these all things, not at all required. That is the one thing. Second thing is, in case of while explaining the structure of a Python programming, just everyone draw the structure and leave it. That is not at all the purpose I want. Just you need to draw the structure. At the same time, you need to explain each and every part. Okay, that is the one thing. And one more thing is, today afternoon, today evening, you are going to have the some assessment test. Please, everyone should appear for this assessment test. That is one of the opportunities provided by our college. That is the one thing. And second and last thing is the October second week, you are going to have the supply and supply examination. In the last week or third week, you are going to have the regular examinations. Before that, at least what I am saying is you need to clear your fees dues at least to some extent. I may not ask if you are having this some 1 lakh fees. I might say you need to clear 1 lakh fees. At least you need to make the part payment. Here paying the fees is your responsibility. It is not the responsibility of the faculty to call to you to pay the fees. Okay, please try to understand us. Okay, please cooperate us. Okay, so I'm thanking to each and every one of you. Okay, thank you all.
Thank you, sir.